Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Nonfarm Payrolls Preview Fed a policy shift to introduce vital noise analysis. http ntvforex.com News ID 9FC7E293 2022 27:28 p.m. The U.S. economy is expected to have added 1.4 million jobs in August. The Federal Reserve made a monetary policy shift, giving employment more relevance. USD is heading into the release giving up some ground, but still the strongest across the FX board. Is time again for the US to publish its monthly employment report. The country is expected to have recovered another 1.4 million jobs in August, after adding 1.76 million in July. The unemployment rate is expected to tick down to 9.8% from the latest 10.25%, while the participation rate is seen steady at 61.4%. Average hourly earnings, however, are expected to remain flat in the month and are foreseen at 4.5% when compared to a year earlier. Employment, inflation, and the Fed. Over 40 million Americans lost their jobs between March and April, and less than half of those have returned to work. According to the U.S. Labor Department, roughly 27 million people are still receiving some form of unemployment insurance. If the country keeps recovering jobs at an average pace of 1.5 million jobs per month, it will take 18 months for the U.S. to complete the recovery. That falls in the first quarter of 2022. Just last week, the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, announced a shift in the monetary policy approach. Not only the central bank will leave inflation to fluctuate beyond 2.0% without that meaning a rate change, but also lifted the relevance of the employment factor in future decisions. A maximum employment is a broad-based and inclusive goal, Powell said. Anyway, Powell made it clear that the central bank wanted to move rates for a long time. The impact of the non-farm payroll report has been decreasing for a couple of years, as the focus was put on inflation. The employment sector had been doing pretty well before the pandemic put everything upside down. Now that U.S. policymakers changed their focus, there is a chance that employment data have a larger effect on the greenback. However, it still could happen that, given that the Fed wanted to raise rates in the foreseeable future, investors will continue to move beyond the NFP report. Leading indicators ahead of the non-farm payroll report, data hints have not been that encouraging. The ADP survey showed that the private sector added 428,000 new positions in August, more than doubling the 212,000 added in July, although far below the 950,000 expected. NBSP, the latest initial jobless claims weekly report, posted a nice improvement by falling to 881,000, but when it comes to the non-farm payroll report, it does not include data beyond the 20th NBSP of the previous month. On the contrary, it collected that back from when unemployment claims jumped back above 1 million. Consumer confidence is another negative factor, as the Michigan index remains stuck at lows while the CB index fell to 84.8 in August, an over 5-year low. There are more good news than bad news. The employment subcomponent in the U.S. ISM manufacturing PMI report kept recovering, printing a better than expected 46.4 number in August. The subcomponent within the ISM service PMI also improved from 42.1 in July to 47.9. Also, and according to Challenger, the number of corporate layoffs fell to 115,000 in August, the lowest figure since the pandemic outbreak, while the latest JOLTS job openings report shows that hiring increased by 5.88 million in June. NBSP U.S. Jobs Report Pre-Release Checklist. A September 4, 2020 previous non-farm payrolls positive. The U.S. economy added 1.76 million jobs in July, a better than expected figure, although the YTD job loss number is still around 13 million. Challenger job cuts positive. The number of corporate layoffs fell to 115,000 in August, the lowest figure since the pandemic outbreak. NBSP initial jobless claims negative. First-time employment claims have picked up the last couple of weeks, back over 1 million. Continuing jobless claims negative. The number of unemployment benefit receivers is falling at a painfully slow rate, still above 14.5 million. NBSP ISM Services PMI positive. The employment sub-index in the U.S. main services survey jumped over 5 points in August, continuing its recovery but still in contraction territory 47.9. ISM Manufacturing PMI positive. Employment sub-component in the U.S. flagship manufacturing survey keeps recovering, printing a better than expected 46.4 number in August. University of Michigan Consumer Confidence Index neutral. The UMich Consumer Sentiment Survey is failing to pick up, stuck in the low 70s since the pandemic struck. Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index negative. The Conference Board Consumer Confidence Index further decreased in August to 84.8, the lowest level in more than 5 years. ADP Employment Report negative. Private sector employment just increased by 428K jobs in September, a very modest number compared to 950K expectations. JOLTS job openings positive. The number of hires was back on track on June, increasing to 5.88 showing some pickup after curfew ended in several states. This is still a lagging indicator, though. NBSP $S possible reaction to different scenarios. The American currency heads into the release of the monthly employment report giving up some of the ground gained this week, but overall strong. NBSP upbeat numbers could boost the greenback, given its own momentum, despite it could also boost equities. A disappointing outcome, on the other hand, will be quite shocking at this point and spur some profit taking ahead of the weekend. As usual, GBP USD could be the less interest pair to trade with this event, while USD CAD would be the riskiest, as Canada will also publish monthly employment data. The EUR and the JPY are the most vulnerable in the case of a strengthening dollar, while the AUD-USD pair will tend to follow equities. NBSP. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me/mt5.expert.advisors.